Social media plays a huge role in our lives, but have you ever stopped to think about how it impacts your mental health? Today, we're going to be diving into how social media has become both a powerful tool, but also a double-edged sword when it comes to mental health awareness. My name is Ari. I go by Ari the Creator, but that is because you are the creator of your life, future, and business. And we believe here at Creators for Change that social media can truly be used as a tool for good, but it all depends on how you use it. I'm joined today by my co-host Kayla. Kayla, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Kayla. I'm a science communicator and mental health advocate, and welcome to the Creators for Change podcast. Today, our episode is going to be about how social media has impacted mental health awareness. So, what do you think, Ari? How has social media helped raise awareness about mental health?
Yeah, so personally, I could share from my own experience. Social media has made getting support very easy. But not only that, people on social media share their stories about what they're experiencing with their mental health, and it can create this feeling of we're not alone in this. So that's one plus side of it. And then also, especially with my YouTube background, some of my clients that I work with, they post mental health resources on their YouTube channels, and it's really great to see how social media has allowed us to put good resources in people's hands in a really easy and accessible way.
Definitely. And over the years, there have been some really popular social media campaigns, such as hashtag End the Stigma.
There's also like the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just those kinds of movements have really changed how people on a societal level view and talk about mental health and all these issues that used to feel so singular. Everybody used to feel so isolated, but social media has really helped people find community in areas like that.
Yeah, big time. There's a lot of online communities, and they're really easy to find on YouTube. Even if you look at Facebook groups, they're great to find. And even on platforms like YouTube, you could feel like you are part of something greater and you can get access to these resources. Here at Creators for Change, we even have a mental health toolkit that comes with different resources if you are experiencing challenges with your mental health. And so we just want you to know that you're never alone in this and the resources are out there. And when you flip the switch from using social media to worsen your mental health towards using it as a tool to get help and improve yourself, that's when it really becomes a game changer.
For sure. And just to kind of put into perspective how big of a reach social media actually has, Pew Research Center found that approximately 69% of adults and 81% of teenagers in the US engage with social media platforms. This widespread usage gives such a huge platform to spread information about whatever you want, but specifically using it to spread knowledge about mental health can just change lives, and it has.
Like Kayla was saying, it's really great for finding community and it's really great for maybe finding other people who are experiencing the same thing. And help is always out there, even if you don't want to be part of a group, because I know sometimes like being part of these groups or these memberships with other people can be a bit, what's the word, like intimidating, but it can even be used to find personal support. Like there's BetterHelp, for example, where you could find like a private therapist, or you can, it doesn't have to be a therapist, just somebody to help you improve your life. So again, everyone, social media is all about how you use it.
Definitely.
Hmm.
Do you have any experience personally with coming across any content that's changed how you view mental health or something about yourself?
Yeah, yeah, big time. I think for me, my biggest mental health challenge was anxiety. And so with the power of social media and taking in YouTube content, it really flipped my perspective on what that meant and how I dealt with it. And so it just really changed my perspective. It gave me new insights, like just about getting in your head and where your focus goes, energy flows. So you get to choose in every moment where you direct your focus. And so it's given me so many new perspectives and it's helped me really shift. And now I don't experience anxiety as nowhere near as much as I used to. So it's really helped me in that way. And even with communication, because a lot of anxiety leads to like communication. So like, stuttering and, like filler words, like I just said. But that's how it really helped me with it. Yeah. I really appreciate the science that people share, especially, when it comes from like an expert, like a health expert or a mental health expert. I really appreciate those, but I also appreciate it when people just share their raw stories of how they got from where they were to where they are now, because in sharing those stories, we could see our own story in it in some parts. And it brings hope because if they could do it, why can't you? So, Kayla, question for you. So, for someone struggling with their mental health, how can social media be a helpful resource for them?
Yeah, so I mean, the world of social media, the kind of content that you can find, the topics that you can dive into are just endless. So there's really something for everyone. Whether that be a support group, like you mentioned earlier, there's so many different groups like Facebook groups or just like communities that you can follow on different social media platforms of people that are like-minded and have gone through similar things to you and experienced the same troubles that you might. And just connecting with people from a similar background, I guess, can really empower you.
Yeah, big time. Kayla, you actually recently had a conversation with a representative from NAMI. Do you want to share a bit about your experience with them and how maybe they are using their resources to support mental health?
Yeah, so this past week I had a meeting with the NAMI program director for Indiana, and we were talking about how social media, how we can support them using social media because the the main problem they offer so many amazing programs that really change lives, like at people from all walks of life. Um, and they were saying their biggest challenge is awareness. And what does social media do? It spreads awareness. So, so we're really excited to be working with them and helping to cover all the different events that they do, the different programs that they do. They have, I think, I think he brought me through, he talked me through about 8 different programs that they've got going on, whether that's their NAMI walks or they've got an End the Silence program where they go into the different elementary schools and middle schools and high schools in Indiana, and they talk to children experience, or they just talk to everyday children, and they have somebody come in and share a personal story, and every time the kids the kids say, "Oh, it was so great to hear so and so's story. I know somebody who seems to be going through something just like this, and I feel so much more confident in being around that person and supporting them." Um, but
Wow,
yeah,
that's amazing, Kayla, that you were able to have that connection. And that's the other power of social media is collaborating with other people. Because when there's people using social media to spread awareness or support a cause, sometimes people fall into the mindset of, oh, these other people are competition. I have to work against them. But no, you can actually bring them together and we can all rise. This is an abundant universe, as I call it. And Kayla's right that social media is a place where attention goes. And so if you want to raise awareness about something, you need to tap into where people's attention is going. Back in the day, people's attention was mainly on television. And so what did they do to raise awareness? They ran infomercials and commercials. They had educational programs. And over time, it's shifted. It's been the newspaper at one point. Now it happens to be cell phones. And so that is what you want to tap into. And don't think of it as something negative. You can use it as something for good causes. You can use it to, promote events that actually help people. And I love this one that you shared, Kayla, because there's actually some stats that, in the US, because you mentioned that NAMI helps children, there's a stat in the US that 13% of adolescents ages 12 to 17 report experiencing depression. Like, how many people do you know that are between 12 and 17? Like, there's a chance that they could be experiencing depression, and you might not even know it. 32% in that age range experience anxiety. 32%, that's one out of every three. I was definitely one of those kids because I had major anxiety during high school. And then also 33%. So again, one out of every three young adults ages 18 to 25 report some form of mental illness. And so these social media platforms can serve as accessible avenues for support and for resources. And so we want to encourage, especially young people, when they're on these platforms, to take in content that actually improves their life. A lot of people see young kids on TikTok or Twitter and they think that that's bad and negative. It's bad and negative if it's 7 hours a day taking in this mindless content. But if it's an hour or two a day taking in mindful content that they go out and apply and use to improve their life, that's when it becomes a powerful vehicle that can be used for good. So, so yeah.
Definitely. And that's the thing is being able to decipher what is good content versus what is harmful content. And something about the mental health community online is that there's so many psychologists and really knowledgeable people working so hard to spread information that's going to help people. But you've got to always take it with a grain of salt because there's also this side of social media, this wellness side of social media, where people who are not necessarily qualified to be giving out advice will be doing so. Um, so it can have some downsides if you're not careful.
Yeah, and that actually leads us into our next point, which is the downsides of social media. And Kayla, I'm really glad that you said that. The good news with what you just said is that many platforms are really being more strict about their community guidelines because they don't want people giving out advice that isn't true or isn't helpful. So I know, for example, YouTube has very strict community guidelines when it comes to health or mental health content. So they actually will scan the videos with AI. They'll read the transcript and they won't push out videos that go against their guidelines or they'll just take them down. So there's good news in that because as a consumer, you know that there are some precautions in place to protect the content that you're taking in to make sure that it's true. So if you are someone who's creating content, just be sure as well to read those guidelines. And if you are an expert, like a doctor or therapist, then there's actually some great programs that you can apply for that YouTube will actually see and use to push out your videos even more. So
Well, that's awesome. That's so cool.
yeah,
Love that.
yeah. But the point I'm making is that while social media has done a lot of good, it's not always positive. So we're telling you to be very conscious of this. We're not going to be overly optimistic and say, yeah, it's always used for good. No, like reality, it's mostly not used for good. And so, what are some other ways, Kayla, that social media can negatively impact mental health?
Yeah, so a review by Kellis in 2020 found that the use of social networking sites is associated with an increased risk of depression, anxiety, and psychological distress. So that's why one of the main reasons why it's so important to be careful about the content that you're taking in and make sure that you're not taking advice from somebody who might not be qualified to give it. Such a huge issue on the internet is the spread of misinformation, whether that be self-diagnosis trends, people giving misleading advice, or unverified coping mechanisms in relation to mental health. But it's just so important that you fact check everything that you're looking at. You don't just take everything as people are giving it to you. You take everything with a grain of salt. It's so important to do your own research.
Yeah, yeah, big time. And everyone as well. This is a conversation that not a lot of people have. People tell you to use your brain and to fact check, but also use your gut. there is actually intelligence within our guts, and your gut will tell you when something seems off. So if you're taking in some content that's giving misleading advice or maybe unverified coping mechanisms, maybe there's a self-diagnosis trend in there, use your guts because that should you should actually have a feeling there that says, maybe this isn't the right content for me, maybe this is misleading. You want to find experts on the social media platforms who are qualified. So being a doctor or a certified therapist is a really good sign. But do research on these people, like see what their background is, and that can help you to build trust because when it comes to these health niches, it's something that you just got to be more careful of, and it does take oftentimes professional advice. And even from these videos, you can't self-diagnose. Like the best way is always to go to an actual doctor or mental health therapist, someone who is, qualified to actually see your situation and give you a proper diagnosis.
Yeah, it's definitely so important. But yeah. So another question that I kind of wanted to talk about is how can we use social media more mindfully, Ari?
Yeah, big time. So I think we covered a lot of those points throughout this podcast already, but if I were to add anything for how to use it more mindfully, it's just one of those things where you have to be very like present with yourself because have you ever experienced it where you're on your phone and before you know it, like 45 minutes go by? It's because like you're not present. It's kind of like you let the platform use you and you don't use it. And so you need to be in the driver's seat. And if you hit a moment where the platform's taking over you, kind of sucked you into a hole, kind of take a step back and be like, okay, like, is this worth my time? It's happened to me before. I was actually on Instagram today because I re-downloaded it. I usually don't have it on my phone, which is a good practice, everyone, is to not have the apps on your phone. You can delete them and re-download them because they use psychological and addictive what's the word tactics to keep you locked in. So it's good to and they were designed by people much smarter who have degrees in this. And so it's not always ethical. So just be very aware, very aware. And the moment where you feel it using you, like take a step back. But the best way is to use it for educational and positive content. I always love funny content. That always brings up my mood. So I don't know, it's just taking educational content. It's entertaining sometimes, but educational content is a really great way to use it mindfully and to improve your life for the better. Do you have any tips to add to that, Kayla?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already talked about paying attention to the people that you're following and looking at, just curating your feed in a way that serves you. Um, Something else that's really, really helpful is setting screen time limits because it'll try to kick you off anytime you go over the limits. And that's a way to like be able to kind of like let loose on social media for a bit, if you will. And maybe if you just need that downtime for a little bit of mindless scrolling just to relax. I know loads of people do it. Um, it'll kick you off when before you spend too much time doing it.
Yeah. Something I want to add to that is everyone, when you're on social media, imagine like you're putting something in your inbox. What do I mean by that? When you're on social media, it's like you're consuming information, you're taking it in. I invite you to explore the idea of maybe having content be in your outbox. So putting out content. So you take in content, get some inspiration, see what's out there, and you put out content as well that is positive and educational. And one thing that is very powerful is when you share your journey and your story. I know that's not always easy to put yourself out there. Sometimes that takes moments of bravery, but I'm telling you from personal experience that posting content is one of the most powerful personal development journeys that you can embark upon. On my personal YouTube channel, my second to last video was about my story. It was about a story in college, which I won't share right now. You can check out the video if you want. But it was about a story in college that happened, and I didn't even share it until now because I wasn't fully like healed from it, if you will. And so when I shared it, it allowed me to look at it from a broader perspective, and now I feel really good about that situation. So that's another way that you could use it mindfully.
Yeah, kind of like sifting through yourself, figuring out how different events in your life made you feel and how you actually think about things, I guess. I don't know. It's like a form of healing. It's like
Yeah,
journaling, but on the internet.
yeah, it is. And again, everyone, just be open. You don't have to go and do that now, but just kind of sit with the idea. Maybe you're doing it already, but if you're not, just consider it. And, maybe who knows? Maybe you'll be someone who is a content creator who helps
Yeah,
other people through social media. And I will say that's one of the most mindful ways that you could use it.
definitely.
And whoever you are listening, I mean, you have life experience, you have skills, you have knowledge, and to you, that might seem ordinary, but to others, it's extraordinary. So you can know, it could be anything. You can know a lot about, let's say, piano. And to you, that's ordinary knowledge, but then you go out there, you start sharing your music, you maybe teach other people how to do it, and it can completely change their life and everything. That's what Creators for Change is all about. Um, Last thoughts, everyone. Leave a comment down below letting us know your biggest takeaway from this podcast. Feel free to check out our other episodes. And also, if you want to take it a step further and support mental health, we do have a donation goal this year of $15,000 towards NAMI. So there's a link down below where you can donate and support the cause. And we just have other resources too. We post on Instagram. Like I said, we have this YouTube channel. I think I got everything there, Kayla, right?
Yeah, yeah. And if you want to give a little bit of content creation a try, you could do our Happy Sticky Challenge. All you need is a post-it note, a pen, and a positive attitude, and you can just write something that you think you need to hear or something that you want to remind yourself of, like just a little positive affirmation for yourself. Stick it on something that you're seeing a lot, whether that's your mirror or your laptop, somewhere in your car. Take a picture and post it on social media and tag 3 friends to inspire them to add some positivity to their life too.
And tag Creators for Change because we will repost it on our Instagram story. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you for the next episode.
Thank you, everyone. Remember, the world doesn't need more creators, it needs more creators for change.